Hello, my name is Gina Adelson, Director of Healthcare Services from Minnesota, here to talk to you a little bit about volunteer recruitment. Volunteers truly are the life of your camp program, and MDA Summer Camp truly would not be able to exist without them. And so making sure that you have a solid foundation and plans set up for volunteer recruitment is key to the successes of your camp. So I've put together 7 different tips for success for volunteer recruitment, and bear with me, I have them written down, so I want to make sure that I go through everything in detail with you guys so I don't leave anything out. So number 1 is knowing your numbers at all times. Knowing the number of campers that you're expecting to have and anticipating to have, and the maximum number, because you want to make sure that you have a volunteer for every single one of those campers. Our volunteer or camper applications haven't come 100% in yet, so making sure that you have that number in mind is going to be key. Then breaking down that number by how many females and how many male campers that you have, because that's going to tell you how many female and male volunteers that you're needing. So making sure that you have those numbers is extremely key, and that's going to be a number that you're going to base a lot of your recruitment off of. But factor in extras. You want to have anywhere from 10 to 15% extra volunteers based off of that number to make sure that you are putting in your own security system built into camp. And so that way you are always going to have volunteers that back out of camp for various different reasons. Some of them being that they might get sick, they might have a death in their family, or sometimes people realize camp might not just be for them. And so making sure that you have that built-in security system is going to be extremely helpful when it comes to camp. Number 2 is come up with achievable goals for your team. Camp recruitment is not just an HCSC thing. It is a whole team approach. Making sure that your whole team is a part of this experience is going to make sure that you are truly successful and that your camp is successful. And so making sure that you come up with a team approach, figuring out goals and expectations for everyone is going to be key. Number 3 is where to start your recruitment. Volunteer recruitment is key. Look at all of your colleges and universities, your tech schools, your community colleges, and really look at the programs that are going to make a difference. Some of those programs are health sciences, nursing, social work, education, special education, kinesiology programs. But don't just look at programs. Also look at your clubs at those colleges. Look at pre-med clubs, pre-OT, pre-PT, pre-PA, pre-pharmacy, just to name some. But making sure that you come up with a list off of those different places. So what we've done in Minnesota is we've actually had an intern help with this, and she's looked up all of the different universities, all the different departments, and as well as different professors, and got contact information for all of those. We've come up with a list of over 450 contacts and 450 leads, and then we can go after for volunteer recruitment, which is a key success when you're looking at the number of volunteers that you're needing for this summer. Another key part is if you really get volunteers at a freshman, many times they'll stick with summer camp all 4 years, but after they graduate from college, it does get a little bit harder for them to get a full week off of time. So if you start with freshmen, you have built-in security for the next 4 years many times to really get them involved with camp. But also looking at programs that need volunteer experience. So if you find any programs at universities that might need 40 hours of volunteer experience for graduation, or they might need hands-on class credit, it's a great chance for those students to come out to camp and gain that experience, get the hours or the credits that they might need, but also really have a phenomenal experience at camp. Number 4 is how to set up volunteer recruitment. So setting up after you have those contacts, sending out an initial email of inquiry, sending out just a message about the experience, asking if you can come in and take 5 to 10 minutes of their class period to come share this wonderful hands-on experience for their students. After you send out that initial contact, a lot of times those professors will get back to you, but also follow up with them. And so whether if that's a phone call or an email, making sure that you really do set up that follow-up is key to make sure that you are successful, but also making sure that you bottom line get the right number of volunteers that you're going to need for this summer. I do have a pre-written email that I've included, so just as a kind of a tips of some things that I send out in that email, as well as making sure that you ask if the classroom, after you figure out a time that's going to work for you to go out to their class or to their club meeting, finding out if there's video capabilities or if there's any other special circumstances that they need to know. I found it's really successful to be able to come in the last 5 to 10 minutes of their classroom or their club meeting. So that way, for it to be respectful of the professor's time and to be of the club's time, if there's additional questions that come up, I can stick around and help answer those questions at the end of the time, so it's not taking up class time for that. But checking if there's video capabilities. We all know it's a lot more valuable for those that we're recruiting to actually visually see what they're getting themselves into and see a little bit about what camp is. So if you do have a local camp video, you can show that, or there's plenty of them on YouTube that you can even find from local or MDA summer camps across the country, just to show a snippet of what summer camp really is, to give them that feel-good feeling to walk away with. After I set up the presentation, like I said, the presentation is anywhere from 5 to 10 minutes. So I'm going to walk through a little bit about what that presentation looks like. So introducing yourself, introducing MDA, and just a little bit about summer camp prior to starting the video. So that way it just gives them a little bit of insight of why or what they're going to be watching. I then show a video, which I have a shortened video, which is about 2.5 minutes from our local camp that I show, which just gives them a visual of what our camp looks like, some of the activities that we do, and really gives them some insight to what the camp experience is. After the video is played, I then go into some detail specifics about our camp. So the dates about camp, where they'll sleep, where they'll eat, and what they'll eat, I have found is actually a really important thing to some of the people that are looking at coming to camp. But also sharing some of the expectations. Letting them know that camp is a lot of work. It's not all fun and games. There is, acts of daily living, including bathing and feeding and dressing, that are a part of camp, and making sure that you don't sugarcoat the experience, that it's all going to be fun and games the whole time that you're there. So that way they have the expectation coming into camp of knowing what it's all about. Making sure that you make the program seem competitive. Camp really can be competitive, and when you do make it seem competitive, you're going to get a lot of applications coming in, and you can be extremely selective then of who's going to be the best fit for our camp program. So if you make it sound competitive, it's going to put an urgency on their applications to get them in sooner. It's going to put an urgency that they're going to tell their friends about camp, and you're going to get a bigger pool of people to select your camp volunteers from. A big thing about what I do at our camp presentations is get their contact information. So I've included a sign-up sheet for you guys of what I use at our camp presentations, and it's really just getting the basics of their information, their name, their mailing address, their phone number, and their email address. So that way you are in control then of the follow-up. You don't have to give them your contact information and wait for them to contact you. You get to then have that control, which is our next tip. But making sure that you tell them that this experience doesn't stay in this room. You can share it. Share it with your friends, your other classmates, your fraternity brothers and sisters, maybe coworkers that might really fit this experience. Making sure that they share this experience with everybody and anybody is key. So the next thing is, number 6, is post-presentation follow-up. Making sure that like I said, you're in control. You have their contact information. So after that presentation, head back to your office, go ahead and have your administrative assistants enter everything into a spreadsheet. And then you have that spreadsheet that you can then follow up with everybody about camp. At this time, I go ahead and send out the applications to everyone with a step-by-step process of what to expect. So when applications are due, when their physicals are going to be due, when I'm going to be contacting them to set up their interviews, and then also a little bit about our pre-camp preparation. So we host a pre-camp meeting leading up to camp, and so I talk about when the data that's going to be, all of those pieces when they get the application, so they know the whole process from beginning to end of the whole camp experience. And then a big thing about what we do in Minnesota is year-round communication. You have that list of volunteers that have shown interest, as well as your past volunteers. So making sure you do year-round communication with them. Every month I put together just a quick email of, fun facts leading up to camp, or, oh, remember to pack X, Y, or Z things. Or just once a month, the first Friday of every month, I send an email out to all of our volunteers that have shown interest. It keeps them engaged. And maybe, like this year, for instance, I had a volunteer that was on that list from last year that actually didn't get his application in on time, but as he's getting year-round emails, he's still getting those. And so first thing he said was, well, when can I get my application? Because I missed the deadline last year and I don't want to miss it this year. So keeping in contact with them year-round is going to be key. It's going to really keep them engaged. So it can be as simple as things of, hey, come out and join us for the muscle walk, or come out and there's going to be a fun camper night or camp information night. Come join us for that. But keeping them engaged is really going to keep their commitment for MDA in a full circle effect. So I hope that these tips for success were helpful to you as you're getting ready for your camps. I know that each and every one of you are going to be successful with your camp recruitment. And if there's ever questions, don't hesitate to ask. We're definitely here to support you guys as you're getting ready for your camps, and everyone's going to have very successful and fun camps this year. Thanks so much for taking the time, and have a great day.